9 o'clock. We're going to have a call to order. The invocation will be led by Reverend Jakey Carmichael, and the Pledge of Allegiance by the Honorable Commissioner Chip Leibel.
Let's pray together. Father, there's so very many things for which we can be thankful. Lord, you're good to us. You give us life, and you give us opportunities to serve you and to serve our nation, our county, and our city. And Father, this morning we just pray for a special favor upon this meeting. We always need your guidance, Lord, and the decisions which have to be made. Lord, I pray that you would give our commissioners the wisdom they need, Father. And Father, you tell us that wisdom comes from you, and this is what we ask for today. And Father, just pray a special prayer for Mr. Stilwell, Father, and his illness, Lord. Pray that you might bring healing there. And Father, we thank you that you touch our lives every day, but the greatest way you've touched us is through Jesus Christ. And Father, you've given us life eternal, Lord, and promise that you're with us every day. So bless again this meeting, Father, what needs to be done, Father, and may we submit our lives to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brother Jakey. We appreciate that. And Chip, thank you for leading us in prayer.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to make a statement. Commissioner Tommy Stilwell has not resigned from the board. He is trying to get his health back together, and he's asked for everyone to continue praying for him, give him a few more weeks, and he will see where his life is at that time. So I just wanted to let you know I received an email from him last week concerning that. Commissioners, item number 2, approval of the minutes of February 20th.
Move approval.
And, February 28th, the regular meeting also. Move approval, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got a proper motion by Commissioner Leibel,
A second.
proper second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the minutes. Sheriff Gator Deloach, you have the floor, sir. There you are. I was looking for okay. I hear you have some guests behind you that came a long way.
We have several guests, actually. I think you'll find it a very nice program. I wanted to take just a few moments to recognize some of not only our deputies, but also our citizens for providing exemplary service. And the Colonel and I actually identified the County Commission as a mechanism by which we could publicly recognize some of our employees and citizens for the service they provide on a daily basis. But in these cases, I don't want to spoil the surprise. Colonel Wells will read a brief synopsis of each of the events that led up to the presentation of these awards, and then we'll actually present their certificates. Colonel?
Thank you, Sheriff. As I call the names, if the persons to be recognized will please come forward. Starting with Sergeant Shannon Depew, Deputy Sheriff Aaron Holland, Deputy Sheriff Joseph Abbott, Deputy Sheriff Thomas Dame, Deputy Sheriff Sean Anderson, and Putnam County resident John Arnold. Before dawn on January 18, 2017, Sergeant Depew, along with Deputies Holland, Abbott, Dame, and Anderson, responded to the area of Maltus Avenue and Schaefer Street in Interlaken regarding a person screaming for help. The deputies quickly determined that the yelling was coming from Lake Grandin. It was possibly the result of a boating accident. The quick-acting deputies determined that a victim was still in the water and in need of life-saving assistance. The deputies called for the PCSO Marine Unit and scrambled for a way to reach the victim. That is when they approached the residence of Putnam County resident John Arnold. Without hesitation, Mr. Arnold, who is a military veteran, agreed to assist the deputies and allowed the deputies to use his boat. Mr. Arnold launched his boat, and he, along with Sergeant Depew and Deputy Holland, hurried into the dark waters. The three located the lone survivor in the water, approximately 3/4 of a mile from the scene of the crash. The team of law enforcement professionals and a selfless Putnam County resident undoubtedly saved the life of a fellow human being. This example of selfless service and going the extra mile for a neighbor is just one more example of what is good and right about Putnam County.
As a result of their actions, Deputy Anderson, Deputy Thomas Dame, Sergeant Depew, Deputy Abbott, and Deputy Holland have all been presented with the Sheriff's Commendation Award, which is actually the highest award that's available by policy to recognize our employees. And in recognition of his actions, Mr. John Arnold has been presented with an Outstanding Citizen Recognition Award for his efforts in helping to rescue this gentleman.
Okay, the next event calls for the recognition of two more outstanding Putnam County residents. If they're in attendance with us today, Mr. Amon Scranton and Cody Stafford, if you'll please come forward. On December 13, 2016, Mr. Scranton and Mr. Stafford were in the area of Old San Mateo Road when they heard a loud boom. Both citizens drove to the area to investigate it and located a vehicle engulfed in flames. There was a lady standing dangerously close to the vehicle. The lady was unable to move and had been severely burned. Mr. Scranton and Mr. Stafford were able to move the victim away from the vehicle shortly before the gas tank exploded. If not for the heroic actions of these two outstanding Putnam County citizens, the life of the victim would likely have been lost that terrible day.
In recognition of their actions, Mr. Scranton and Mr. Cody Stafford have both been presented with Outstanding Citizen Recognition Awards for their efforts.
Next, we would like to recognize Putnam County resident, Mr. David Kudlow. Oh, there's Dave. Putnam County resident, David Kudlow, without request for compensation and without the desire for recognition, provides a service to the citizens and visitors of Putnam County. Mr. Kudlow resides in a riverside home in Satsuma with a multiple-stalled boat lift. Several years ago, Mr. Kudlow invited the Putnam County Sheriff's Office to stage one of our emergency response Marine unit vessels on his lift. The majority of the emergency calls for assistance answered by PCSO's Marine unit take place south of the Buffalo Bluff Railroad crossing. The strategic placing of an emergency response vessel eliminates the need to perform a standard boat ramp launch, saving time in situations where every minute counts. The benefit to boaters of Putnam County was illustrated recently when the PCSO Marine unit answered an emergency call of an overturned vessel with occupants in the water. During the response, the sheriff's office vessel was on the water and heading to the crash site within 12 minutes. In the law enforcement marine rescue world, any response start under 30 minutes is considered excellent. Mr. Kudlow's generosity and dedication to his fellow citizens has undoubtedly made the waters of South Putnam County safer and has saved lives.
And in recognition of his contribution, Mr. David Kudlow is awarded an Outstanding Citizen Recognition Award.
We're doing a quick battery change up here.
Okay.
Just a second. There we go. Next, we'd like to recognize Putnam County resident Derek McMillan, if he's with us today. Wasn't sure if Derek was going to be able to make it. I'm going to read his citation, although he was unable to make it, and we'll get it to him later. On January 8, 2016, Mr. Derek McMillan was at a convenience store in Fruitland when he witnessed a suspect enter the store with a hood and mask covering his face. When he heard the suspect start yelling, "I have a gun," and saw the suspect brandish the weapon in an attempt to rob the convenience store. Out of concern for the safety of the bystanders in the store, and with extreme selflessness, stripped the weapon from the suspect's hands. Mr. McMillan, with the assistance from 2 other customers, were able to detain the suspect for several minutes until deputies arrived and made the arrest.
All right.
All right, Lieutenant David Atkinson, Deputy Sheriff Tyler Miller, Deputy Sheriff John Hall, and Deputy Sheriff Brandon McMahon. On October the 1st, 2016, Lieutenant David Atkinson, along with Deputy Tyler Miller, John Hall, and Brandon McMahon, responded to a Patrician Place residence regarding the requested welfare check of the elderly occupant. The deputies were met by a subject who provided them with a plausible explanation for the lady's absence, and there was no visible evidence to suggest otherwise. But the keen instincts of the deputies led them to believe that something was not right. Upon further investigation, the deputy sheriffs located evidence suggesting a violent encounter had occurred inside the home and eventually discovered the body of a homicide victim. Deputies Miller, Hall, and McMahon then took extraordinary steps to preserve the crime scene and identify a suspect. Lieutenant David Atkinson oversaw the initial response and investigation regarding this incident. In doing so, he flawlessly led the patrol personnel and coordinated with the Criminal Investigations Bureau to ensure that the crime scene was preserved, proper interview and investigation techniques were utilized, and through his exceptional leadership helped facilitate the identification of a homicide suspect. The actions of these deputies serve as an example and proud tradition of law enforcement excellence to the citizens of Putnam County. As a result, Lieutenant David Atkinson, Deputy Tyler Miller, Deputy John Hall, and Deputy Brandon McMahon are hereby awarded the Sheriff's Commendation Award.
This concludes the presentation of our awards. I do want to take a moment to publicly recognize and thank the Board of County Commissioners and the county administration for allowing us a few moments to publicly recognize these individuals. Thank you.
Sheriff, thank you. And right behind you, there's some people that came a long way to get here. Would you introduce them, Mr. and Mrs. Holland right there? Stand up, please.
Please.
Yes, they came all the way from England to be here with us today, so we thank you very much, all right? Now, welcome to Putnam County. Go out and find a place to buy, move over here, be close to your grandchildren. You know, we encourage you to do that. All right. Sheriff, thank you very much for such a moving presentation. Next on our agenda, Commissioners, Mary Garcia, Health Department Administrator, 2017 Healthy Weight Community Champion Award. Miss Mary, you have the floor.
That is a very hard act to follow, but
Oh,
thank
right.
you. I'm so happy to be here today. This is the 4th year that Putnam County has been recognized with a Healthy Weight Community Champion Award. This year, we also submitted, following the same tradition we've been doing on the Bartram Trail, but we recognize how wonderful the national designation was of the Bartram Trail as a national trail. So wanted to be able to present to you with greetings from the Surgeon General of the state of Florida, this Healthy Weight Community Champion Award. And if you don't mind, I'd love a picture with all of you so we can put it on
Please come right up here
Facebook.
in the front.
She's going to read it.
We'll let you sit here.
Thank you. Mr. Holloman will be up front, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Very nice. All right, gentlemen, next on our agenda, the proclamation recognizing April as Awareness and Unity in Combating Drugs and Alcohol. We have asked Commissioner Chip Lible to read the proclamation. If you will, come up front to the,
Yeah, we can bring
everybody up. That's
a
what-
little historical. We got the Caissons with us, and many members of the Southside Baptist Church, I think, are in the audience. Casey, you guys want to come to the podium and
Come
bring
on,
some
people.
more attention to, come on up.
Don't be afraid.
This is a very remarkable congregation, and the event you're doing for the community is just so appreciative and needed, and can't say enough. I'll read a proclamation saying it. Okay, whereas we as a nation continue to experience an ever-increasing drug and alcohol addiction epidemic, with new, more potent and deadly forms of illicit drugs continually flooding all our areas of our county. And whereas addicts continually devise new uses to obtain prescription drugs to feed their addiction. And whereas the devastating consequences drug and alcohol addiction have on our families, communities, crime statistics, healthcare system, and our nation affect every person. And whereas the saddest consequence of drug and alcohol addiction is the number of deaths as a result of accidental drug overdoses, especially those of a young age. And whereas Putnam County's addiction problem continues to grow epidemically, snaring people of all ages and walks of life. Whereas recognizing the grave importance and need to battle this epidemic, some of the Putnam County elected officials, churches, local law enforcement, business owners, citizens, affected families and friends have united to fight drug and alcohol addiction and its devastating effects. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners on this 14th day of March 2017 that the month of April 2017 is hereby declared community-wide anti-drug and alcohol abuse, addiction awareness, and combat month. Be it further proclaimed that all citizens, families, church leaders, and congregations, local government leaders, local county and city law enforcement, representatives of our local mental health and drug coalitions, civic organizations, and business owners are hereby encouraged to attend and participate in the upcoming 2017 U-Turn Anti-Drug and Alcohol Dependence Community Outreach to be held April 8th, 2017 at the John Theobald Sports Complex, 120 Carter Road, Palatka, Florida. Done, ordered, and proclaimed this 14th day, March 17th, and I would like to offer this in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lible. We have a proper motion by Commissioner Lible.
I'll second that
We have a
motion.
proper second by Commissioner Goddard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
And if
thank
we
you
could,
for
if I
all-
could get the audience, these people you're seeing in front today, they do a remarkable one-day event that's very fun. I encourage people to come out. There are a lot of children's games and top-notch entertainment they get from around the state, and a lot of testimonials, and not to mention the good food and drink. Mr. Casey, take it from there.
Thank you. Good morning. We're here today for the proclamation declaring April 7, 2017 as the month for community awareness and unity in combating drug and alcohol addiction in Putnam County, Florida. This time I'd like to introduce the people who stand with me today. Starting at this end, we have Greg Harvey, who is also our U-Turn treasurer, my wife Lynette Cason, our associate pastor Sean Thomas, our church secretary Linda Arnold, my daughter-in-law Brandy Cason, and our grandson Turner, Kim Hughes, our youth pastor James Ritchie, Helen Brown, of course our First Lady Pam Johnson, Shannon Burge, I'm sure you all know her, and David Reed. Okay, now I'd like to give you a brief history about U-Turn. U-Turn is an anti-drug and alcohol addiction outreach that originated at Southside Baptist Church through a personal experience and was held at the church in 2011 and 2012. Then in 2013, it evolved into a U-Turn community outreach and became a community-wide event and was held at Riverfront Park. And again there in 2014. Then in 2015, the event was relocated to a county-owned facility, the John Theobald Sports Complex at 120 Carter Road, Palatka, because of the hotel that was built at the riverfront. The event was held there again in 2016 and will be the home of this year's event as well. Miss Angie Wisnett, Director of Parks and Recreation, and her assistant, Kim Troiano, and the rest of her staff have been very helpful and accommodating in helping us at the sports complex. We get a lot of nice compliments from our guests who like the new site better because it's all fenced in and they feel more secure with their kids. U-Turn 2017 Community Outreach, now in its 7th year, will be held Saturday, April 8th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our event sponsorship for this year's event is still open. As of this morning, U-Turn 2017 is being sponsored by 2 corporate sponsors, 10 churches, 41 businesses, and 34 individuals. It takes a lot to put this on, and the goal of U-Turn all along has been to help local people who were ready to make a U-turn in their life by turning away from their addiction. I'm happy to report that we've been able to do that since 2015 when U-Turn presented its first scholarship to a young local lady who had successfully completed a Teen Challenge recovery program to help her attend the Emerging Leaders College to earn a degree in ministry. She is now a program director at a Teen Challenge facility in Pensacola, Florida. Since then, U-Turn has presented scholarships to a half a dozen other young men and women to enter a Teen Challenge recovery program. This has all been made possible solely by the generous giving of local businesses, churches, and individuals in our community just like you. We are still accepting event sponsorship for this year's event if anyone would like to give. Of course, we accept general contributions year-round. U-Turn Community Outreach is a 501c3 nonprofit organization and is fully tax deductible. There are no paid staff, and all of the proceeds beyond the cost of putting on the outreach event go towards helping local people make a U-turn in their life. U-Turn now has a website, u-turnoutreach.org, where you can get information about U-Turn and also make an online contribution. U-Turn Community Outreach addresses drug and alcohol prevention, awareness, offers referrals and help, and most of all, hope for those in need. There will be kids' activities, education and information, dramas and testimonies from Teen Challenge South Florida, and also a group from Jacksonville this year, and from our local Celebrate Recovery group headed up by Jeremy and Melissa Ray. And this year, we have some very special guests coming back. Pastor Bernie Gallot and his wife Kathy, who are global evangelism coordinators with Teen Challenge International. Bernie and Kathy travel all over the world teaching program directors how to help people make a U-turn in their life. Of course, we'll have live music with the Josh Bramos Band, free food, drinks, snow cones, popcorn, lots of door prizes, and fun for the whole family. The entire event is all free to those who attend. Putnam County's had its share of serious problems and tragedy related to drug and alcohol addiction. Every individual is affected in some way or another. Maybe you have a friend, coworker, or family member who is suffering from an addiction. Or maybe you or someone you know has been the victim of a crime such as robbery, home invasion, domestic violence, loss of income, loss of property, and even loss of life. Putnam County has and is experiencing all of these things. There was a pastor from the town of Manchester, Kentucky, where they once had a serious drug epidemic, who said, "What's worse than the darkness is the lack of light from our local churches." I think Putnam County could relate to that same thing, and U-Turn is here to shed and spread some light on the issue of drug and alcohol addiction in Putnam County, now with 10 sponsoring churches of different denominations. U-Turn was designed to share the love of Jesus with our community in a non-threatening and non-condemning environment, and then through the witness and testimony of those who have made a U-turn in their life that can speak it and live it before others and cause those who live in the bondage of addiction to see it and want that abundance for their own life. In fact, the U-turn theme verse is 2 Corinthians 5:17, which states, "Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new." That's where the true U-turn takes place in a person's life. It's eternal with or without drug or alcohol addiction. Any other way is only temporary and short-lived. Having the event in the springtime also symbolizes a newness of life all around us. U-Turn is making a difference in the life of others. There are many others from Putnam and surrounding areas who have turned their lives around and now are living clean and sober, happy and healthy lives. U-Turn stands ready to assist any local individual who is ready to make a U-turn in their life, away from drug and or alcohol addiction, by helping them get into a Christian recovery program. Lastly, I want to thank all of you, the Board of County Commissioners, not just for your support, but also for the kindness you have shown since the inception of U-Turn. We have always received your moral support, but from many of you, we have also received your personal financial support, your time, and even your prayers. I know that we had Commissioner Chip Lible come and present the proclamation for U-Turn last year, and we have received representation from this board every year since U-Turn was started. It takes a community coming together to reach the community through outreach. U-Turn stands on a foundation of Christianity, where Christians and community come together for good. We are so thankful for you and the businesses and the churches and the fellow citizens that help us to continue reaching out to the community and letting them know that we care about them and that there is a hope and a future for them that is free from the bondage of addiction. Everyone benefits when someone who is headed down the path of destruction makes a U-turn in their life. On behalf of U-Turn and all who stand with me, we thank you and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, if we could get a picture.
Commissioners, we will be out there on April 8th at 11 o'clock. If you'd like to join me doing the proclamation again, so we'll be out there. And thank you for all you
Can we
do.
get a picture with the group? and-
Yeah, please do. Come on. Come on up.
Right here.
Let's go right up here.
Let's stay up here, Larry. Well, you can go down there. Well, this would be good for us. There's so many people. I was gonna say, he goes down there. Yeah, there we go. Works good.
That's okay, knock everything over.
Yeah, we're missing Yvonne.
That's right. I'm a photographer.
Do you need me to move down a little? Really? No? You're okay? Okay.
I'm far enough. I'll be the human Zoom here. All right, everybody. All righty.
Wait a minute. Thank you. All
Yeah,
right,
it'll
good.
get some
Thank you very
advertisement.
much.
Mr. Casey, I'll shake these new commissioners down for you.
All right, I appreciate it.
I think Shannon already did need to
Oh, did you?
shut me down for some money.
We helped this event.
You did, you did. We appreciate it. Commissioners, what a fine event to turn people's lives around, and we thank y'all very much for everything you do for Putnam County. Okay, Commissioners, now we're at the public comment portion of our meeting. We do have 2 blue cards. You do not have to fill out a blue card if you'd like to speak. You can come at the end of this, but if you would like to, they're on the back walls back there, so please avail yourself to that. Our first blue card today is Faye Sparkman. Faye, if you'll come up, please.
Good morning, Faye Sparkman, 103 Flamingo Boulevard, Interlochen, Florida. I have a request for each one of you to please drive from one end of the county to the other. I get to travel this county quite a bit, and what I'm seeing, the businesses are closed and nobody's taking care of them. Take a ride out Highway 20. Look what used to be Linda Joe's, what used to be a tire town. Nobody's cleaning them up, nobody cares. Take a ride over right off of 315 into the estates. You will see a home with great big holes in the roof, people are living in it. Then you go down a little bit further, and I think it was 2 or 3 years ago you did an abatement in the estates, it's on the main road. Start to tear it down and there it sits. The answer we get is there's no money. Please fix this. The other thing is the businesses in this county. We've lost Kmart, we've lost Embroidery Me, we lost J.C. Penney's, and now Rochester's is closing. So what is the Chamber of Commerce in this county doing to get jobs to come here? That's what you're paying them for. They should be on that phone every day to the governor, to other things throughout this United States trying to find businesses to come here. We're paying them wages, make them do their job. I meet people from all over this county when I go to the VA, all over the northern part of Florida. People ask me where I live, and right now I'm ashamed to tell them. Because when they started doing the research in the computer and found out we have the biggest cancer cell in the state of Florida, then I guess they have a way now you can pull up pictures of roads and houses on the computer. They look at that, they don't want to come here. My daughter lives in Pennsylvania. She had a nurse that wanted to retire. She went to the real estate agent, and when they pulled up the county, they told her, do not come here. So if real estate agents in other parts of the United States are telling people not to come here, we have to fix this. We have to get jobs here. And the people that are left here in your county now are people that lived on fixed incomes and welfare. We have to do something to get these people jobs. And that's up to you four to do that. We need to fix this county up the way it used to be 20, 25 years ago. It used to be a beautiful county. Right now, it's not. And we lose any more businesses, we're going to be a ghost town. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sparkman.
Is there anybody?
Our next card, wait a minute, Sheriff, do y'all want to publicly?
We could wait until the end of the public.
Okay. Oh, okay, I just wanted to give you time to, okay, our next card, Mr. Ed Killebrew.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Ed Killebrew, 146 Barden Estates Circle, Palaca, Florida. I just came to renew my mantra, I guess you'd say, call it now, of being positive, being forward-thinking, being everything we need to be for this county. I want to say I'm proud of being from Putnam County. I'm proud of it. Yeah, we have our issues, we have our bumps right now, but I also just wanted to say thank you to this morning for starting with a positive note. I want to thank the sheriff for doing what he did, bringing those people before us that we need to know what they do and how they do it, citizens and officers alike. Bringing the U-turn people before us to let us know exactly what's going on. Ms. Garcia with the wards. We need to know these things, and we need to start off with a positive note. Whether it stays positive or not, that's up to us. That's up to you as the chairman to keep it rolling that way. But, you know, we have our differences. And that's what America's all about. It's about differences. It's about different people having different states of mind, different thoughts about things. You four sitting up there together, y'all don't think the same way. Y'all come together and bring it together as staff, and other people bring it to you. But again, I just want to say that, you know, just move forward positively, and I think your meetings will flow that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Killebrew, for your comments.
Okay, next is Rhonda Masters. Who I refer to as the unofficial mayor of Federal Point. Ms. Masters. I see you have some Federal Point residents with you there.
I do.
Okay.
Good day, Commissioners.
Afternoon.
My name is Rhonda Masters, Federal Point Road, East Palatka. As we all know from the recent audit results, along with reports from your staff, there's a crisis with regard to the county's health insurance program. A committee was formed on which all of you sit. As a concerned citizen, I've attended these meetings and have heard the dire financial straits we find ourselves in. For the benefit of the public and for the record, I've been in the health insurance world for nearly 30 years, and I have many resources that could be of assistance. So at no cost to the county, I brought in experts in the industry to share with the committee alternatives that might help in this crisis. My sole purpose and the benefit I hope to receive by assisting in this matter will be to keep my taxes low and my county services operating at full capacity. As you know, I've been attending these meetings and speaking as a concerned citizen, calling for the committee to recommend the issuance of a request for proposal, as is recommended in the audit. At one of the Public Insurance Committee meetings, Human Resources staff expressed concern over the lack of a provider network available if a change is made. I shared that if they opted for an alternative, I would be willing to volunteer my time to develop a cost-effective quality provider network specific for the county's health plan, as this is one of my areas of expertise. Over the past few months, I've been pulled aside by dozens of people, friends and strangers alike, and told that I should cease my participation in public comment or I'll find myself on the Bates list. And being on this list doesn't bode well for people. I've been told that I might one day find my tires slashed, my business ruined, or my credibility called into question. Since I despise vicious rumors, I ignored these warnings. Now, I'd like to share with you something that is fact and not rumor. This voicemail message that I'll play was left last Tuesday with Amy, the admin assistant, to the president of one of my Missouri clients.
Hey, Amy, my name is Benji Bates. I'm actually an agent over in Florida. I'm calling. I had someone go into a public meeting with one of my clients. Her name is Brenda Masters, and she made claims that she set up the network for the Bank of Missouri. So I'm just trying to validate that. I think she would.
I won't play the entire recording as I think you get the gist. But if you didn't catch it, Benji Bates, a representative of your vendor, Bates, Hewitt & Floyd, called my client in Missouri, checking into my claims. My client forwarded me this message. Mr. Bates also visited my LinkedIn page about the same time that he made this call. I contacted Mr. Bates last Wednesday and asked that he cease contacting my clients. When he wouldn't acknowledge the fact that he'd even made the call, I sent him the following letter. Dear Mr. Bates, it has been brought to my attention that you have contacted at least one or maybe more of my clients, some in other states, to discuss my business. No one from your firm has contacted me with any such inquiry. I believe your call and their resulting effects on my business relationships result from my participation as a concerned, well-informed taxpayer in Putnam County's public meetings. As you are aware, I have participated in many meetings to suggest potential solutions for the Board of County Commissioners' consideration as it attempts to solve our collective financial crisis and address the Auditor General's preliminary and tentative findings that the county is in violation of Florida law by failing to bid out their employee insurance services. My contributions at the meetings have focused on alternatives to the structure of the county's health insurance program, which would maintain current levels of coverage at a reduced cost. I understand your firm is the county's current insurance broker, and that the alternative insurance model I've suggested may require your firm's future compensation to become public information. I also understand that your firm's commission earned as the agent of record under the current structure is not made available to the public. While your intentions in disturbing my clients are not entirely clear, it appears they may be some sort of retaliation or harassment stemming from your business interest in keeping your profit margin from the public's eye. Please provide me in writing what are your intentions with contacting my clients. I look forward to receiving your written response by the close of business, Monday, March 13th. Regardless, I demand that you immediately cease this behavior and any other similar behavior. Such behavior may constitute tortious interference or unfair trade practices or both. And if they continue, I'll have no other choice but to protect myself and my business. As of this moment, I have not heard back from Mr. Bates or his representative, which leads me to believe that his intentions weren't good. Is this how we do business in Putnam County? From what I've heard, the answer is yes. None of us should tolerate this type of business tactics as a result of trying to help our community, whether it is solving a multi-million-dollar crisis or in the growth and development of our cherished community. So I'll ask a few simple questions. Will this board use every available option to keep your vendor from interfering in my business or that of any other citizen? What will this board do to protect the rights of your citizens if they choose to speak out in public meetings? And will our county's business dealings become transparent?
Thank you, Ms. Masters. I'm shocked. I have to say I'm shocked. I don't think that this board, I can speak for myself, and I'll let the other commissioners speak as they want to. But when you have a citizen that comes before us to offer help, and they have to be, they're called into judgment or question, I have a problem with that. I don't know what we can do as a county, but I don't know the intentions of Mr. Bates, but truly is not the way I'd want to do business.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you, and I do appreciate, and I know we all do, we appreciate your concern. You're doing everything to try and help our county, and so again, I'm very sorry that this happened to you.
Thank you, sir.
I'd just like to bring up the point, this is a very serious matter, but judgment is required, research is required on your judgment as commissioners, and that's no reflection on you, Ms. Masters, but please hear the other side and balance this, bring it up again in the insurance meeting that's coming up for discussion. It's a very serious matter, and we'll take it very serious.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for your participation in those meetings, and but I agree with Chip that research needs to be done, and to hear the other side, and just sorry that any inconvenience to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Masters. Thank you very much. Okay, that's the end of our blue cards. Is there anybody else in the public that would want to speak to this commission today? Okay, Sheriff, would you like to come up?
Yes, Mr. McMillan was actually able to make it to the meeting.
Good.
So at the expense of sounding redundant, I would like to read the commendation again for his benefit. Mr. McMillan, if you'll come up, please. On December 18, 2016, Mr. David McMillan was at a convenience store in Fruitland when he witnessed a suspect enter the store with a hood and mask covering his head and face. He then heard the suspect yelling, "I have a gun," and saw the suspect brandish a pistol in an attempt to rob the convenience store. Out of the concern for the bystanders in the store and with extreme selflessness, he stripped the weapon from the suspect's hands. Mr. McMillan, with the assistance from 2 other customers, were able to detain the suspect for several minutes until the deputies arrived and made the arrest. And in recognition of his efforts, Mr. McMillan is hereby awarded an Outstanding Citizen Recognition Award.
Sheriff Deloach, we need to deputize that man, don't we?
No doubt.
Thank you again. Okay, we have, what, one more blue card, I'm sorry. Mr. Tim Hotelin?
Tim Hotelling, 105 Riverside Way, San Mateo. As you all know, I've been up here the last few years. I'd like to say how extremely refreshing it has been today to have our new sheriff explain what our fine officers have been doing. If some of that was presented more regularly, I think there's a lot of people who feel a lot better, and I thank him.
Thank you, Mr. Tell. I believe it will be. Yeah, thank you. All right, is there anyone that would like to speak to? Seeing no one, we are going to close the public comment of our meeting. And commissioners, we're going to go to item 7, consent agenda. Is there any items that any commissioner would like to pull?
I have none today, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I have none.
You have none? I have none. That's refreshing, isn't it? So, okay, the chair will entertain a motion
Move approval?
of items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, I, J. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Goddard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it, and the consent agenda has been moved forward. Thank you. Ms. Linda Myers, the Honorable Linda Myers, will talk to us today about concealed weapons permit. Good morning, Ms. Myers.
Good morning, Commissioners, Honorable Clerk, and staff. And glad to be here today with everyone that's here because it was an awesome presentation by the sheriff. It's a great way to start my Tuesday, and I'm sure it was for you as well. The officers, and it's exciting to see citizens stepping up to help each other. And that is truly who our county is. Although we have our issues, where in the world are there not issues? One thing our county has is we step up to help each other. So I'm delighted to be part of this. I'm actually here today because a number of commissioners have said to me individually, how's that concealed weapons permit going? I know it's kind of new. How's it going? So I wanted to go ahead and just tell everybody and also let the community know we are live and doing business in the Palatka office. Again, this is not when the State Department of Agriculture rolled out concealed weapons permitting at the local county level. They just allowed one per county for the first couple of years until all the counties who wanted this had at least that one location. So Palatka was the location that was chosen. And here's what's happening. We have been in business now for 1 year. We started March 11th, and I think Commissioner Lible, you may have been one of our test cases, perhaps.
The first one.
But you paid. Test cases paid too, you know. So to let you know, in that 52 weeks, we have issued 1,470 concealed weapons. That is 6 a day on average. And I'm going to tell you, they're not 6 a day. They're 10 one day and 2 the next, and 14 one day and 3 the next. So to help people that are in the audience or the listening audience, if they want to get their concealed weapons permit, it is a painless, seamless operation. And it's quick. And if you have a tight time schedule, make an appointment. Easy to do. I'm going to give that number on right now, 386-329-0282. Don't listen to any of the prompts, push 0 and say you want to do a concealed weapons permit appointment. Not to say we don't do walk-ins. We actually do walk-ins as well, but your wait time might be long. It just depends on how many people are in the office that day. So depending on your schedule, either make an appointment or come in at your leisure, but do have some time. So just a little more information on that. 1,470 in 1 year. 60% of those are new licenses, new permits. One of the reasons the Agriculture Department reached out to tax collectors around the county was that we are there in every county, and we do have folks trained to protect licensing inventory and things like that. But they reached out because the renewals scared them. About 10 years ago, concealed weapon permits in Florida began to be issued on large numbers, and there was a huge backlog. But the concern was 8 years later, when they renew, it would be something they could not handle, including the new ones. So we find it interesting that in our office, 60% of those in this first year were actually new ones. 40% were renewals. Starting later this year, we will actually be able to issue renewals in the office. Right now, if you come in for a renewal, we do, it's a pretty simple procedure because you've already had your background check. There's a real quick background check. And then the license is mailed to you. But starting later in the fall, we will be getting printers specifically to print the renewals. The originals, of course, will still have to go to the Department of Agriculture for the background check. So that's kind of what's happening with that, and we just want to let you know it's well received. I know we have a number of people, probably less than 10%, but a number of people that bring in their huge packet. They wrote away for their permit and their application, they got that packet, and they never did anything with it. And they walk in with it, and we say, we don't need any of that. All you need to do is something that proves you who you are and that you're legally in America, and you have to have proof of your training, your gun safety training. I say that with a caveat. If you're in certain industries like law enforcement, you don't have to present that. We just have to contact them and know who you're currently working for. But in general, the average person in Putnam County really just needs to bring in that hunter safety course does work as well, but there are many options out there. So with that, I just wanted to bring some good information of how the ability to provide services locally to your citizens in mind.
Thank you.
Any questions?
If I'm not mistaken, I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
Commissioner?
The fingerprints, that's done in your office and it's done digitally, isn't it?
It is. Everything is done in the office. And it's such a great question because sometimes people come in with their picture taken already and we can't use it because everything is going to be sent digitally in one little file, including your fingerprints and your picture and, of course, your application that you did online. So thanks for that question. People do go out and spend their $10 or $20 and bring us a passport photo, which was the old procedure, but not required now.
Just a comment, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Myers, the
Sure.
responsibility to possess this permit is very serious, and there's rules and regulations that go with it, and I encourage the holders to refresh themselves with that, because I was very amazed at the amount of places that you're allowed to carry or not carry, and it's very important to know those.
Commissioner, it is. Thanks you for bringing that up. We try to stress two things. One, if you're going to go out of state, know what states reciprocate with Florida. So important. Second, know the rules about what actually is concealed and what's not concealed and where and when. You're absolutely correct. We're actually thinking, and we've spoken with the sheriff's office once or twice, about starting a new program in our office, which would be coffee with, and maybe quarterly it would be an FWC commissioner, to find out, for example, when it's time for alligator hunting, we'd have the Fish and Wildlife people there to have coffee with them and be able to ask those questions. And maybe once a year on a quarterly basis, we would have the sheriff's office there to talk about actually what does that mean, concealed. Mm-hmm. People who are renewing haven't had that class perhaps in a long time. Mm-hmm. So they don't, so they don't remember the rules, but also the rules have changed. So we are going to, it's a good opportunity to reach out to them again. We've been talking about bringing that up this year. So we're going to also try to stress the importance of knowing the rules. Can get you in a little trouble if you don't.
That's right. Thank you for keeping us on the cutting edge, though. I think that as a county, we're far beyond probably quite a few in this area.
We were the 28th out of 67 to adopt that.
Yeah.
So we did good. But, our citizens were asking for it, so that's the right thing to do.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. All right, before we get to our next presentation, I think Tim Smith and Faye Sparkman have something that they want to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, we have the Huggers and Handshakers Club.
Oh,
we added handshaking because, we respect everyone. We prefer to hug. But we've had a gentleman that we've been trying to get here, and he finally came to be with us today, and Carl Carnes, if he could come forward.
I know he likes it. I know Carl likes this a lot, right?
Yes, right. Put him on the spot here. But you were mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the great service that you provided to some citizens out in the West End, and we want to recognize that because our philosophy is that the more we have good communications with folks, then the better our opportunity to resolve issues that we have. So we want to thank you for that. Thank you, Press, for allowing him to come today, and we'd like to present you with your certificate and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just have something to tell you about this man and why it made him a hugger. If you have anybody that gets upset on any of your roads in the county, please call him. He saw me go out there and I got very angry, and he just very calmly came over and said, "Calm down, we're going to take care of it." So what he did is, I don't know if you all know this or not, but he's a singer. He has his own studio. So he made me a disc, and believe it or not, it calmed me down.
You had to go there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Carl, I'm going to ask you, can you do a few bars real quick for us? Or no?
That's private.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. All right, commissioners. Next on our agenda, Ms. Blythe Bird. I'm sorry, Executive Director, United Way presentation. I got it mixed up, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm here to talk about United Way. I'm so privileged to be here. Came here, of course, last year, and I was very privileged to be here as well. But today in particular, I'm talking about investing in Putnam. I've loved everything that's happened before me. It was a beautiful lead up to it. And then just to be here on such a heroic day as well. It's just an amazing thing for me. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I'd love to share with you to kind of make this easier to go through because I have some wonderful numbers. Let me see here. And Brandon said it was going to be easy. So let's see if Brandon was right. All right, am I up there?
He's on his way.
Brandon. It's supposed to be. I never do anything easy. Help me, Brandon. And here's another hero. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I've had tons of heroes today.
Glad the system's getting replaced.
Searching. Well, while Brandon's helping me out here and
Miss-
searching for this,
Hang on just a minute, because you're going to have to get near the microphone
am.
so we can record that. Didn't this happen to Steve Jobs at one time?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it did
oh,
too.
look at there. And then something happened, and then it went away.
There we go.
Oh, there it goes. All right.
There it is.
Good.
All right, now
All
how do
right,
I
thank
get
you
this
very
to the?
much. All right, proceed, please.
All right, if you guys can see that up there, that's awesome. So basically, I'm here to talk today about investing in Putnam and making a difference in our community, which of course we've gotten to see a lot of today. And again, so thrilled to be here simply because I get to follow all of this wonderful news from Putnam. So I wanted to let you guys know a little bit more about all those good works that so many of us need to hear. When you help to support United Way of Putnam County, you are making an investment in Putnam County. And during 2016, this past year, these numbers reflect the investment that you made when you supported us financially or through volunteerism. 654 of our youth's character building was done and STEM education was done. 400 women and children had safety and education as they were protected. 3,800 people's critical needs were being met by American Red Cross directly after Hurricane Matthew. As a matter of fact, I saw that they gave out 5,000 types of items that were needed directly for critical needs. They gave out 200 kits for cleaning up. They just were absolutely amazing, but they did more than that. They connected with a lot of our resources here, and they did that through the EOC or through calling me directly and having that connection with the resources in the community. 286 home repairs were done. 2 new houses are currently being built through Habitat, and we've finally begun the Veterans Village on Westover Road. 1,138 children were given excellent pre-K programs here. It's hard to say, I might need to go back there. 7,000 books were brought home by those pre-K students. There were 800 book bags stuffed with books for those children. It's not just a food desert in Putnam County, it's a literacy desert. And this is an important aspect that United Way loves to do. We did that through a grant program. 39,873 families received help by way of either financial assistance, food, utilities, prescriptions, transportation, and/or information and referrals to other resources in the community. So that is 2 out of every 4 of our people here in Putnam County. Still, moving on, we had 1,250 tax returns prepared. That brought back $2.7 million into our community through tax returns. That's a huge piece to our puzzle. 24 people were sheltered during the cold weather at an emergency shelter that we have here in Putnam County. 136 people were supported and successfully re-entered from our prison system into Putnam County. This is one of the ones that I love. This was brought up a little bit earlier by one of our citizens about being a cancer cell. We have a wonderful fund here, and through that fund and through the support of United Way, 26 patients were referred for eligibility screening for diagnostics and/or living expenses. 21 of those patients were provided with assistance. 7, unfortunately, were diagnosed with cancer, but they were referred for treatment. And 4, happy to report that their symptoms were negative for cancer. They would not have known that without your support of United Way and our support of our local agencies. So this is how it works. I come to you, ask for donations, then we have volunteers in the community that vet the programs that our local agencies have, and we do the research to make sure that these programs are actually good programs for our community, that they show positive impact in our community. Then those funds are invested. Your dollars are invested, and they make measurable differences here in our community, as you could see by all those wonderful numbers. Here, I love this page. These are all of our partners. We have, as you can see, American Red Cross, Habitat, our wonderful Palatka Christian Service Center, South Putnam Christian Service Center, God's Kitchen, Episcopal. It just goes on and on and on. But we also run our own programs as United Way. We do our annual community baby shower where we partner with the hospital here. Last year, we had over 130 mommies come out to the hospital. And they were able to see 10 different vendors, from a nurse talking about Zika virus to a dentist so they can get their babies started off right in dental care, to the Women's Resource Center, Healthy Start, Healthy Families, smoking cessation. We even did car seat safety. So we're going to do that again, second year in a row. So yet another way you're investing in the healthy lives of our babies right here in Putnam County. We also do the school supply drive, 265 stuffed book bags, including the earbuds that they needed, were in those book bags and given directly to the schools so that schools could get them directly to the students that needed them. We also do the summer book program. Currently, we have 400 books that will be doled out to elementary school students as they head home for the summer so they have the option to read. As a matter of fact, Capital City Bank is doing a drive here at their Palatka branch. So if you have any gently used children's books, please take those in. They are so excited. They're filling up a full bookcase full of those books. So please do bring those in. So when you think about United Way of Putnam County, what I want you to think about is education, health, financial stability. But more importantly, I want you to think about local community programs, all right here for our children, our families, our veterans, and our disabled. So the way that you can help us out is, of course, give. Those donations are huge, and no amount is too small. I've seen $1 help a chemo patient get to their treatment. You can advocate. Please let people know about United Way, your friends, your family, your coworkers. And again, just a few dollars, whether you do it through payroll deduction or you give that one-time donation. You can also, and this is my piece right here, as I'm the only employee of United Way, if you could please give your time, your talents, and volunteer. Once in a while, I would like to go on vacation, so I could use some help. And, you know, one of the things that I love to do, and this was something that I talked with Joe Wells and our Sheriff, Gator Deloach, about, was our resource cards and handing those out in the community. It's not just about getting those donations in so that we can continue doing these really great, impactful programs in Putnam County, but it's also getting that information out to the people who need it. So one of the things we did was get all the resource cards out to all of the deputies, the sheriffs, to get those cards into the cars. When they're out on calls and they see somebody who needs help, they can pass those cards out, and it has important information on the back, numbers for them to call. I would ask as citizens that you do the same thing, and that's one way that you can advocate and really help to make a difference, is to let people know what resources are available. And at the very end, with all my lovely kids here, I want to say thank you, because I know quite a few of you are already supporters of United Way. And you've made a huge difference. And I hope within the numbers that I showed you a little bit earlier in the presentation, you can see what a big difference you're making. I would also ask that you please go out. We mentioned Facebook earlier, getting pictures on Facebook. I'd love for you to go out to Facebook, like our United Way page. A lot of information gets done out there. I know I'd like to thank Commissioner Harvey for all of his help. I reached out a couple of times and said, I've got a single father with a son. He is homeless. He needs transportation to a job. He needs a possible job here in town. Please help me. And we got him a job, and we got him a place to stay, and his son got to stay in school. So it's an important tool, you know. I will leave you with this, though. I don't want you to feel complacent because we have really great numbers to show you. I still need your help. Right now, I have a grandmother of 3 who was taking care of these 3 wonderful little children in her van. I have no current way of helping her, but this tells me what I need to do moving forward, because yes, I answer the helpline as well. So we're not done yet, but we have come so far, and it's because of you. So thank you so much for all of your help. Thank you for your time, and please do what you can to give, advocate, and volunteer for United Way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any comment?
Just a wonderful service, and I want to thank you. I know you go more than the extra mile. You're a great family and a great asset to our community, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Put that on Facebook, and we'll all share it, and we'll get it out there to everybody that we can, that this lady needs some help.
Absolutely. I will do. I will do it. You know, I was able to find a place for her children to have showers, and she was thinking outside the box. These are not people that are living off the system. These are people that have nowhere to go because they don't fit into the system. She makes a few dollars too much to get help. So she turns to United Way. These are the people that call us, the ones that fall through the cracks and have no idea where to turn. So she thought outside of the system. She even came up with an idea to buy a camper for $400 and go out to East Palatka, and at least they have laundry service and showers out there. So these are the people, these are the stories. And we're not done yet, but think about that. Just $400. To some of us, that's a mountain. To some of us, it's nothing. So I'd love to continue to help people. And again, thank you for making this job as great as it is for me, because without you guys, I wouldn't have this job. And what I do is help people. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh. Okay, Commissioners, item 10, Codes Enforcement, page 72, 73 on your packet. Mr. John Salmons will be taking us from here. Good morning.
First case is 2008-01237, John Cornridens. I'm sure I killed that name. 120 Goodman Street, San Mateo. This is a case of an unsafe structure that the county ultimately abated. Length of time to achieve compliance was 3 years and 1 month. The number of liens was 2, one for daily fine and one for the abatement. Mr. Cornridens has owned the property a short time. Staff is recommending that the daily fine of $14,200 and the $2,600 abatement lien be reduced to $3,352, which is the $2,600 abatement cost plus the $752 of the daily fine, which is a cost that we cost us to do the job, and give him until September 10th of 2017 to pay that.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
I'm not sure.
No? Okay. Would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of this? Anybody in opposition? Okay, Commissioners.
I move that we go ahead and accept the $3,352.
Second.
Proper motion by Commissioner Goddard, proper second by Commissioner Lible. Discussion time. I do have a question on, it says daily fine if paid by September 10th. Are they in agreement with all that?
I've talked to him about it. He didn't seem to be upset about it. So.
Okay, good enough. Thank you very much. Commissioners, we have a proper motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you. Item case number 2004-01181, Patricia Singleton.
This is at 105 Elm Court in Interlochen. The type of violation was unsafe mobile home. Length of time to achieve compliance was 13 years. Number of liens was 1. Length of time that the owner owned it, she bought it in 2007, but was not made aware of the codes case until 2015, at which time she took care of the problem. Staff recommends that the $99,400 fine be reduced to $675 if it's paid within 4 months, which is July 12, 2017. I've talked with Ms. Singleton. She's ready to pay it. She wanted to pay it last week, and I told her that we should wait until at least you guys do.
Okay, is she here, Ms. Singleton here in the audience?
Yes, she is here.
Ms. Singleton, would you like to come up and speak to us? Please come up to the microphone. State your name and address for the record, please.
Patricia Singleton, 102 Elm Court, Interlaken, Florida. I bought this piece of property in 2007, was not made aware until 2015 of the existing lien. We removed the trailer and contacted, we did everything that we were supposed to do, and that's why I'm here now.
And you're in agreement with these findings?
Yes, sir, I'm
Okay.
totally aware.
All right, if you'll step back just a moment, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor? Seeing none, anybody opposed? Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't have to do the public.
I was thinking it was a hearing.
No.
Okay.
Well, sort of.
I was being very formal. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, seeing no other comments, Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Move approval staff recommendations, and I want to thank Ms. Singleton for helping clean up our county.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Lible.
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
We appreciate you. We have a 10 o'clock certain, Planning and Development, TA 16-002, text amendment for future land use element, Seminole Electric, pages 76 and 134 in your packet, through 134. Mr. Brown, you have the floor, sir.
Mike Brown, Putnam County Planning and Development Services. The first item before you today is TA Text Amendment 16-002. This is the second time you're hearing it. This is the adoption hearing. In the comp plan amendments, 2 hearings, 1 transmittal, 1 adoption. The applicant is Seminole Electric Cooperative. They're requesting an amendment to the future land use element of the comp plan to allow a new policy. Policy states, policy A193B7, linear facilities necessary for the distribution or transmission of gas, electricity, or water are permitted in all future land use categories and zoning districts and are consistent with both the Putnam County Comprehensive Plan and the Land Development Code. Linear facilities include but are not limited to pipes, cables, utilities, tunnels, power lines, towers, poles, tracks, or the like. The purpose of the specific request by Seminole is to support future construction of a natural gas pipeline and to ensure available facilities necessary to support existing and future uses at the Seminole plant. What this policy does, the county has interpreted Chapter 38004, which defines what is development and what is not development for state purposes, to allow linear facilities in each land use category already. That's been ongoing county policy. This proposed new policy just codifies that into words in the comp plan, making sure it is clear so there's no confusion anytime in the future. As I indicated earlier, this amendment was transmitted to the reviewing agencies at the state level and the regional level. We received no adverse comments in reply. Planning Commission considered the amendment at its December 10th, 2016 meeting and recommended approval of the request to amend the future land use element to include the proposed policy. Staff makes that recommendation also and requests that you adopt the amendment to the comp plan for this new policy. Any questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions for Mr. Brown?
No, just a comment to thank you and your staff for this. This is a multi-part effort to get this effort underway, and I thank you. I know it took a lot of time and work, but thank you, Mike.
Okay, the applicant, would the applicant like to speak? Thank you. Please come up and state your name.
Vanette Gadelia with the law firm of Hopping, Green and Sams here for Seminole, 119 South Monroe Street, Suite 300 in Tallahassee, 32301. And I have with me today a shorter group, a smaller group than the group we had last time. I have Jim Fraun, and Jim is the Vice President of Technical Services and Development with Seminole. This, as you mentioned, is a part of a multi-tiered kind of application process, and we're excited to have worked through with the county the process, and I think we're looking for this outcome today. We're hoping that we'll get an adoption from you. We're not going to go through a presentation. You remember last time we had about a 15-minute run-through. The whole project was explained for you, so we won't put you through that again, but we're here for questions, and thanks very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions?
Just additional comments. Thank you and your company.
Yeah, I think
we're
all-
very excited about this project, and anything we can do to help it along, please, don't hesitate.
Thank you. We appreciate
I
that.
think you can see the smile on our faces.
Yes.
Will show that we're excited about this.
Thanks, Commissioner
Okay,
Murphy.
then now we do have to take public comments.
Correct.
In favor of, if anybody would like to speak in favor of. All right, seeing none, anybody would like to speak in opposition? Okay, is this quasi judicial too? Do we?
It is not. This is a
Huh?
legislative
Okay.
function.
Well, Commissioner, seeing that we have no public comments, what's your pleasure?
I move approval of staff recommendations,
We have
Mr.
a
Chairman.
proper motion by Commissioner Lible,
I'll second it.
proper second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Mr. Brown, you're up again for LM 16-003, Future Land Use Map Amendment.
Again, this is related to the same project. The applicant, this is a land use amendment. Again, it's the adoption hearing transmitted to the regional and state agencies. Just in quick summary, we'd received no adverse comments, again, from the agencies on this land use amendment. The applicant is Seminole Electric Cooperative, requesting a future land use amendment for a total of 1,996 acres. 1,800 plus minus acres are industrial. Presently, 187.4 acres are Ag 2, and 4.5 are rural residential. The request is to change the entire parcel, or the entire total of the 1,996 acres to public facilities. Real quick history, or the reason behind this is the county comprehensive plan identifies energy facilities as type 4 community facilities and services. The only land use category in the comp plan that allows type 4 community facilities and services is the public facilities land use. It's a quirk that I don't know where it came from, but we didn't notice it. Seminole caught it, luckily. So as part of their rezoning, we have the rezoning, which you will hear next. You have to be consistent with your comp plan. That's the reason for the request. There are no additional impacts associated with this land use change. All the uses are identified in the planned unit development zoning, which hopefully you will hear and approve on your next item. Again, the Planning Commission heard this request at their December 10th, 2016 meeting and recommended unanimously for approval of the comp plan amendment. Staff supports and makes that recommendation also to change the 1,996 plus minus acres of the existing Seminole facility to public facilities land use.
All right. Would the applicant like to speak again? No, we're good over here. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor? Anybody opposed? We're still not quasi-judicial?
Correct.
Okay, good. All right, commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Well, although this category is very confusing in its title, but It feels industrial to me, but we'll call it public facilities at Mr. Brown's request. I'll make a motion doing so.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Lible.
I'll second.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Goddard. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We are knocking them down today. Thank you. One left. So, Mr. Brown, the next one's a PUD 16-006.
Yes. This is, again, the applicant is Seminole Electric Cooperative. This is an amendment to the existing plan unit development. The county originally approved a PUD for the Seminole Electric facility in 1976, and again amended that PUD in 2006. The PUD was approved in 2006 to add a third cold fire unit. Presently, there are two. The cold fire unit was never completed. Seminole Electric has decided they want to consider a third unit again, but rather than coal fire, to be natural gas. That is the crux of this request for a rezoning. It also is bringing some additional acres, which they have acquired over time, into the zoning for the site. This process will, the rezoning, or the whole entire process will also go through the Power Plant Siting Act process at the state level. The county will be involved in that process. The request, again, is to rezone to PUD. There is a PUD agreement attached to this, which is amended, which primarily addresses the change of use from that one unit from coal fire to natural gas. Seminole also did a traffic analysis based on once it's completed the operation, but they also went beyond what usual applicants do and looked at the impacts from construction, especially on the roads, US 17 primarily. They have proposed some improvements to the US 17 and their entrance on US 17, which are laid out in the amended PUD agreement. Those will address the impacts associated with construction. If warranted and approved by DOT, they will make those improvements, and those improvements will remain in place after the construction impacts have gone. So it's, from staff standpoint, it's a good win for the county. Again, the Planning Commission addressed this amendment to the rezoning amendment to the PUD at its meeting in December, and voted unanimously to approve it or recommend approval. Staff is recommending approval to the proposed zoning map amendment from PUD and Ag to plan unit development for the 1,996 acres of the Seminole Electric property. Any questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Commissioner Lible has a question.
Mr. Brown, although you didn't mention it, I'm going to call you out on it. The particular improvements with FDOT and US 17 is a proposed red light, is that correct?
There is signalization is included with some additional turn lanes, both left turn south and some other entrance. But yes, and signalization.
I had asked you previously about potential fog alerting systems in that. We have a lot of fog in that area on a regular basis. And in that language or that request, I still am requesting that you see if that could be added additionally.
Okay. Is your request to include that in the agreement or to have staff separately make that contact with DOT?
You have the experience of working with those entities, so I'll trust you to pick. But it is important. It's very important. We've had quite a few accidents there, And for some reason, from the Wall Street caution light, I'm sure the SO agrees, to River Road, it's just the low-lying nature of that area. But there is heavy fog there quite often.
Staff has already had some conversations with DOT on the signalization and other improvements. I will continue those and bring forward the request about something during the fog issues.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, Mr. Commissioner Lible. Any other questions? All right, applicant, would you like to speak? Please come up, state your name.
Good morning. James Frowen with Seminole Electric. I'm the Vice President of Technical Services and Development. Address is 16313 Northdale Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida, 33618. Commissioner Lible, I support your concern with the fog. We will also support that with DOT. So we'll work with staff to make certain we take care of that. So
thank you, sir.
Duly noted. So, but I do want to take a moment. Don't want to take too much of your time. These are 3 fairly quick approval items for you, but your staff did a fantastic job. Mr. Brown, all of his staff worked very closely with us. I would like to thank you for that. Planning Commission as well as this commission. So as Mr. Brown stated, the first time we came in for zoning approval was in '76. So for 41 years, we've been proud to do business here in Putnam County, and we look forward to at least another 41 or more. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service to our community.
All right. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of this in the audience? Anybody would like to speak in opposition of this?
Mr. Chairman, this is a quasi-judicial
I knew
matter,
that.
so any ex parte communication should be disclosed at this time.
You're just earning your money now.
I'd
Okay,
say
Commissioner
something.
Pickens?
I had none.
I have none.
I have none.
Oh, boy. Explain the parameters, because I have had some, but I don't know in particular to this. I haven't. Am I clear?
You are. If it's discussions with the parties, either staff or Seminole Electric, in regards to their rezoning request, if you've had any conversations related specifically to the rezoning, then you'd want to disclose that on the record and ensure that your decision is being made today based upon the information presented today, as opposed to any conversations outside of the record.
I think I was in the sunshine anytime I had the request for traffic modifications, that sort of thing. I think I'm good.
All right, good. Okay, commissioners, the chair will entertain a motion.
All right. Come on, guys.
I make the motion that we accept staff's recommendation for PUD 16006.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Pickens.
I'll second.
Proper second by Commissioner Goddard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. The ayes have it.
Thank
you very much. We appreciate this very, very much.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Before the representatives leave and Mike leaves, we talked earlier in the meeting about issues or problems that Putnam County may have, and we had, some comments from Ed Killebrew about, being proud of Putnam County. And I think this is a step towards a brighter future for Putnam County. So I wrote this little thing down that says, Putnam County bringing power to Florida.
There you go.
Now, Seminole's here. They're making a clean investment, or maybe make a clean investment in Putnam County. A few weeks ago, you approved 2 solar farms. I'm not sure there's another county in Florida that's doing as much to fulfill the needs of power and doing it in a responsible way as Putnam County. So I see chamber folks here, and to me, all this makes a good story.
That's right.
And we should be proud of that and should be talking to people outside of our county about that and inviting them to come be part of, a great future for our county. So I wanted to say those things before everybody left with this issue. Thank you.
Say that statement again that you wrote down. I like
Putnam County bringing power to Florida.
Bringing power to Florida, Putnam. I love it. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Smith, for that. Okay, gentlemen, our next item is item D, R16004, zoning map amendment from C1 to R1 for .26 acres at 723 Julia Street. Mr. Brown.
R16-004 is a request for a zoning map amendment from C1 to R1 for a single parcel of 0.26 acres, located at 723 Julia Street in Palatka, which is right around the corner. The applicant is Doug Cutts, and the agent is Christine Kelly. This is really a request to correct a non-conforming use, being commercially zoned. The residential is not allowed. It's a house that's being intended to be used for residential. The future land use of the area is urban service. Residential use R1 zoning is allowed in the urban service. There are no impacts associated with this change. It is consistent with the surrounding lands and uses in the area, even with the city, which surrounds two sides of it. The Planning Commission considered the rezoning of the parcel at February 8th, 2017 meeting and recommended approval to request the rezoning. Staff recommends approval of the request, the amendment to the zoning map from C1 to R1 for the subject parcel, given that, finding that the proposed rezoning is consistent with the comp plan and the land development code and is compatible with the surrounding uses. Any questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions for Mr. Brown? Okay, seeing no questions, is the applicant here? Mr. Cutts or Christine Kelly, is that?
She's representing.
Okay. Please come up and state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Christine Kelly, 723 Julia Street, Palatka, Florida.
Okay.
And I'm requesting rezoning. That one time this home was attached to the adjoining church. It was the parsonage. They were sold separately. It was used for years as a real estate office. That has since changed. It is an 1,800 square foot, 4-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Okay, all right, good, thank you. Okay, commissioners, public? Anybody in the public would like to speak in favor of this? Anybody in opposition of this? Okay, commissioners, and this is quasi-judicial?
It is.
So please reveal, starting to my right, Mr.
I've had no communication with Mr. Cutts, although I'd like to. I haven't seen him in a long time.
I haven't either. I haven't seen him since I was like 18, I remember.
Baptist preacher now in North Carolina.
Tell him
Is
hello.
he really?
Yes.
Well, tell him we said hi, please. Commissioner
No,
Gale.
I've had none.
I've had none.
I had none.
Okay, commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
We have the proper motion by Commissioner Lible,
I'll second it.
proper second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Please tell Mr. Cutts we said hi, okay? I haven't seen him in a long time. Okay, next item on the agenda, item E, R17-001, zoning map amendment from C2 and C3 to IL for 2.24 acres at 1024 State Road 19. Mr. Brown.
Again, R17-001 is a request for rezoning of two parcels, one being C2 and one being C3 to IL Industrial Light, located on US 19, just north of the new school maintenance area. The purpose of the request is to facilitate the development of a manufacturing distribution operation let me start over. The purpose of the request is to facilitate the development of a manufacturing and distribution operation. The type of manufacturing, along with the size and facilities to support the operation, are proposed to meet the criteria for the light industrial use set forth in the Land Development Code. The land use of the site is urban service. IL zoning is allowed in the urban service area. The proposed use, again, is really a relocation of although the zoning allows for a number of uses. The specifics for this site is to relocate an existing business within the county that's presently is non-conforming with the area to this area to be conforming. The proposed use should not create any danger to surrounding uses or activities, will not create odor, fumes, or dust, or other emissions that will cross the property line, and will not create a large demand for tractor-trailer or other heavy vehicle traffic in excess of 40 trips a day, as set forth in Section 20215 for light industrial zoning district in the Land Development Code. The Planning Commission has considered the rezoning at its February 8th, 2017 meeting. The Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning from C2 to C3 to light industrial. Staff finds that the location meets the locational requirements set forth in the Land Development Code for light industrial, and recommends approval of the request to amend the zoning map from C1 and C2 to light industrial. Any questions of staff?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any questions for Mr. Brown? Okay, seeing none. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this? Please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Name is Michael Powell, 96090 Sweetbriar Lane, Yulee, Florida. I own the property, and I'd like to take the time to thank Mr. Brown and the commission for hearing this and helping us through this process.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else would like to speak in favor? All right. Anybody like to speak in opposition of this? Seeing none. Quasi-judicial, starting to my right, Commissioner Lowell.
I've had no communications, thank you.
I've had none.
I've met with staff and I met with the applicants in a meeting together about this, this proposed change right here. And if I may, this can't, well, I'll leave that. I have met and we have discussed. Thank you.
I've had none.
Okay. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
I move that we approve this request.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard.
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Brown, may I take a moment? And I just want to say thank you. This came out of a situation where there was a codes case, and this gentleman grew a business that was getting too large in the area, and staff really worked hard to get this codes case out and put this in the proper location with the applicant. I didn't want to say that earlier. I didn't want to sway your vote, but I really appreciate, you know, they say government doesn't work. I can tell you in that meeting, government was more than accommodating to try to make this thing work out. And it's going to be a win-win situation for your business as well as the community that you were in. So thank you very much. Commissioner Lible.
I got one question, Mr. Powell. Yes, sir. Where is Chokoloskee, Florida?
South of Naples.
Is that right? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, sir.
I saw the name of that town. I said, there's one I hadn't seen before. Thank you.
Snook country, isn't it?
All right. Welcome to the community, and we're glad you're here.
What?
Snook. Good snook fishing down there, right?
Okay.
Is it?
Good. Thank you again for everything. We greatly appreciate it, and we look forward to a business coming out and growing in Putnam County, and we thank you for all you're going to do. Commissioners, are there any appointments? We'll start with Better Place Plan, District 1.
No, I have been in contact with somebody that may fill a seat on the Planning Commission.
Okay.
And I should have that answer by next commission meeting.
Okay. Fishing Fund, Library Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, Planning Commission, Waterways and Trails.
Yeah, each of you should have something there.
You know, I didn't get that list, but I did get a text from a gentleman who wants to serve Mr. Bob Vernstein. Would like
He's
to
on
be-
the list for sure.
Okay.
Yvonne is out sick today, I believe, but
Well, I'd like to go ahead and appoint him as my, can I do that? Or
can
is
we
it-
take the appointments that are there now? Because this committee needs to meet as soon as possible. They
Have
really
we
do.
seen, do we have a copy of that list?
Yvonne had it. Staff, where's Tabby's not, oh, there's Tabby. Do you have any idea, Tabitha, where it might be?
All right. I'm sorry. I know Bob Vernstein was texted to me, and I think that would be a good move right there. So as my appointment, I'd like to go ahead and do that.
I think I have one in my office.
Why don't we recess the meeting for 5 minutes?
Before we do that, I'd like to recognize President Pickens from St. John's River Community College is in the audience today, somewhere I can't see that far.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, we're going to
Let's
recess for
just a
5
second.
minutes.
This is very important.
2017 at 10:50. We're talking waterways and trails. I have offered up Bob Vernstein as my choice on District 4, and Commissioner Lible has some other names that he...
I have Sam Carr as my representative.
Sam Carr.
Bill Pickens.
Mary Garcia.
Gay Esperson.
Gay Esper. You need to spell that last.
In the absence, Mr. Chairman, of Commissioner Stillwell, we can wait to do that appointment in his
Okay.
presence.
This will give you enough to get started on, and we appreciate it. So right now, we're looking at Bob Vernstein, Sam Carr, Mary Garcia, and Gay Esperson on the Waterways and Trails. Is there any other appointments on Zoning Board of Adjustment? And Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board. Carl, Commissioner Flagg is on that. If no one else wants that, I will go ahead and represent the county on that board, okay? We need to move that one forward also. So let's take them all at one time. We have Waterways and Trails, Sam Carr, Bob Vernstein, Mary Garcia, Gay Epperson, and on the Juvenile Justice Circuit Advisory Board, I'll take Carl's spot. So do we have a motion of approval on that?
I'll make a motion of approval.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Pickens seconds it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Okay, the ayes have it. County Administrator, Mr. Rick Leary.
I have nothing this morning, sir. Thank you.
Okay. County Attorney, Stacy Manning.
Nothing further, sir?
Okay. Clerk of Court, Mr. Tim Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to mention that this is Sunshine Week, and yesterday we held a couple of seminars. Mr. Tim Hotelling was there and asked some good questions about some of the processes that we have that folks can access a lot of records online. Some of those take a couple of steps to register for those as established by the Supreme Court, but it gave our staff a good opportunity to hone their skills on answering questions for folks that want to access records. So as Sunshine Week continues this week, let me encourage everyone to take advantage of those opportunities that we have to share records with folks. You don't need to do a public records request for these. Over 90% of court case records are available. Some are shielded by court rules, juveniles and adoptions and those types, but generally most all court records are available to folks that want to access those. Also on Saturday, we had a successful passport day. Our office was open from 9 to 2 on Saturday to allow local residents that need a passport to come down, not necessarily have to miss work to do that. We had a good turnout. We had one family show up and requested 5 passports, and they had small kids. And so I asked a question. I said, well, in today's world, how old do you have to be to have a passport or be required to have a passport? And the answer is at birth.
Oh, really?
So I was kind of shocked at that because it didn't used to be that way. But now if you have a newborn and you plan to travel anywhere that requires a passport, that baby is required to have a passport also. So that's information that I wasn't aware of, but I am now, so I wanted to share that so that someone doesn't get caught in that spot. Years ago, they used to let the mother have a group passport. So it would be her picture and the however many kids, and they all traveled on one passport. But now each one of those with current ID laws is required to have a passport. So I wanted to share that with everyone to know that. And then lastly, I had a plat issue with planning and development, and Mr. Hammond and Mr. Mike Brown were very accommodating to provide answers for that. As you know, we record all plats at the clerk's office, so if someone needs to do plat research, they can see that plat. Now, it's all you're going to see is the actual plat, but it would lead you then to the property appraiser's office if you need to do additional research on that. But I wanted to thank them personally for helping us with a plat issue that we had. And so with that, I thank you for allowing me to make those comments.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner comments, starting to my right. Mr. Lible?
To my colleagues, you guys, I want you, if you have time, to go on and research Senate Bill 600 and Senate Bill 936 that's being offered up through the Small County Coalition is keeping an eye on it, but Senator Montford has some proposals that are very interesting to do with enterprise zones. And in the nature of the legislature this season, you know, economic development and tourism and these things are under attack. So being a rural county of economic concern, we certainly should be paying attention to this. I don't know what the House companion bills are yet, but I'm sure that if you research it, we will find those out. I've just got this morning.
Yeah, those came in your email this morning, so do look at those. Is that all, Mr. Lible?
That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Goddard?
I wanted to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank everybody for your concerns. It's very important that you're trying to move our county forward. Also, I want to say some things. Based on many factors, including our recent audit, our attempted sale of the landfill, the mistrust and the lack of confidence expressed by the people of Putnam County, I want to make a motion that we start the process to replace our county administrator.
Okay, Commissioners, we have a proper motion on the floor. I will second it for discussion. Commissioners, discussion.
Since we're going to enter into a discussion here, I feel that for something of this importance to the county, should at least have been an agenda item. I feel in respect to Mr. Leary and to myself as a commissioner and to the citizens of Putnam County that we should have time to research this, to ask questions, and get input from the public before we make a decision today. And if you're asking for a decision today, I know what my decision will be. It will be no. I recommend that it's put on an agenda item the next Board of Commission meeting, so we have time to get input from the citizens, where it's duly advertised, where they could attend a meeting, or I could do research myself to make an educated decision of such magnitude for this county.
Thank you.
I would like to inquire, if I could, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Goddard, this came out of thin air. What? I got to question you on it.
It did not come out of thin air, and I couldn't mention it to
You shared
you or
with me.
anyone else out here. It has been a concern. I've heard it the whole time when I was running before I ran for county commissioner. There is a severe lack of confidence. The basic people of Putnam County are not pleased with a lot of the things that our county administrator's done. Now, he's done some great things, but I do think perhaps it's time we take it to discussion, we take it to whatever. But I think this is an issue that we need to look at.
Okay, well, I look forward to Commissioner Pickens' request to bring it as an agenda item in the next meeting, and we'll see just where that falls.
Well, before we go there, we have a proper motion and a second on the floor. Are you willing to withdraw your motion, or do you want to continue it on, Commissioner Goddard?
I will withdraw it, and we'll bring it up for discussion.
On the next agenda item?
Yes.
Okay, I will withdraw my second, and Commissioner Pickens, we will move this to the next agenda item.
Okay, I would just like to say one more thing. I respect Commissioner Goddard's request, and you must have found information to justify that. So, but I just think that this process needs to move forward with it on the agenda item where we can get more input.
Commissioners, thank you. I know it's we have to have these discussions out in the public, and unfortunately, things like this probably should be kept private, but they're not. All right, Commissioner Pickens, any comments?
Yeah, I would just like to make a comment about the presentation from our sheriff and Colonel Joe Wells. A very positive presentation and awards of some of the staff going above and beyond the call of duty for our citizens, and also the citizens' input to put their lives in harm's way to help a fellow citizen. Also, the presentation from Blythe on the United Way. I had really no idea how much impact the United Way had in Putnam County. And also for our staff working with Seminole through this whole process to move, hopefully, this process forward for a gas-powered generator, which definitely will create a lot of jobs during the construction and also permanent jobs when the facility is done. And also to commend Tim Smith and his staff. I did participate in the passport thing last Saturday, and staff was very friendly. And took about 30 minutes, and probably would have taken about 20 minutes, but I really couldn't remember the year I was married. I knew the month and the date, so I had to text my wife, and she confirmed that it was 1987. So I don't want to fake Tim and his staff, and I think this was a very good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to make some final comments too. Thank you all all the commissioners for your openness today and your willingness to discuss matters. I hear a lot on Facebook and emails that I get about bringing jobs to Putnam County. You've heard, the public has heard that there's a lot of jobs coming and to Putnam County. What we need now is people who want to work. And I've got people that are begging for workers right now and can't find anybody. So please, it's not just about bringing jobs. And it's not what is a business lifespan. I question that in my own business, what that lifespan would look like. But it's also about bringing people who want to work and getting that skilled workforce back in. Back in the 70s when I graduated, 79 from Palatka High, there was 2,500 manufacturing jobs at Georgia Pacific alone. Not counting the other industries that were working around, 30,000 less people. Jobs were easy to come by. But they're not like that today. And now skilled workforce has to be there. And I commend our college and our school system about trying to fill that void and move that forward. If there's no other further comments, this meeting will stand adjourned. Thank you.